We are live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today we'll be covering Aidan Clune and the Caleb Harris case. It appears there's some updates, definitely in the Aidan Clune case, and then some updates with Caleb Harris. Not sure how much. I'm trying to keep an eye on it, but we'll start with Caleb Harris's case, and then we'll switch over to Aidan Clune about halfway through the show. But if anybody's not familiar with either case, I've got like a 2 to 3 minute recap for each case. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover true crime, mystery to the missing. So let's get started with Caleb Harris. I'll play a quick 2-minute recap of his case, and then
Caleb Harris, a 21-year-old college student.
And then we'll get into the news that I've been kind of keeping an eye on that was announced earlier today.
The missing. Caleb Harris, a 21-year-old college student out of Corpus Christi, Texas, went missing on the early hours of March 4th, sometime just before 3 a.m. He just vanished. He was last seen with his roommates, caught on this ring cam, walking their new dog. This was taken at approximately 1 a.m. in the morning. Shortly later, Caleb Harris would order Uber Eats at 2:45 a.m. along with Snapchatting with his sister. Then after that, he sent his final Snapchat picture, which was received by his friend at 3:03 a.m., which shows a foggy picture of a bridge which was taken just outside his apartment complex located here. The next day, the roommate awoke to find that Caleb Harris was missing and that his Uber Eats order was still sitting outside. So what actually happened to Caleb Harris? And more importantly, what is this new lead that law enforcement allegedly has? First, we need to go back to the timeline and take a closer look as they learned Caleb Harris's phone went dark at 2:58 a.m. This time is crucial as this means this photo that Caleb took had to have been taken just before 2:58 a.m., meaning sometime between ordering Uber Eats at 2:45 a.m. and 2:58 a.m. when his phone went dark, something terrible happened to Caleb Harris. Jennifer Coffindaffer, who is a former FBI agent, has been covering this case and has been speaking with the family and doing many interviews. Although it's been nearly 3 months since Caleb's disappearance and no major developments in the case, it has not gone cold. According to Coffindaffer, in her latest interview, it seems law enforcement has a lead, and if by chance that lead doesn't pan out, they will release some kind of details to the public.
Is getting to a point that they do have some direction on where they're looking and what they're looking at. And so they're not at a brick wall yet, but the minute they get to a brick wall, they are going to make a release of information when they think they're at the point that it's going to help the case. And they don't think that right now. They don't think that what they're sitting on and not sharing, it's going to be helpful to share right now. But he wanted to assure everyone in the community.
So what could this lead be that law enforcement allegedly has? Many feel like Caleb Harris was abducted by someone, likely with a vehicle. Luckily, there are plenty of street surveillance cameras around in that area, but unfortunately, it was really foggy that night. So it's possible they have surveillance footage of a suspicious vehicle or person, but perhaps it's too difficult to see due to the fog. There's also mention of a Reddit account which was used as like a hookup app. It's rumored an account used by Caleb was using this Reddit app to meet up with somebody that night, but this account has not been verified by the family. Considering Caleb had no wallet, keys, nor shoes, it seems odd that he would leave to meet up with somebody, but it's certainly possible.
Tonight, human remains have been found not far from where a New Braunfels man went missing in Corpus Christi. Now, Corpus Christi police confirming tonight that the remains were found in a...
Okay, so there's just a recap of Caleb Harris' story for anybody that's not familiar with this case. Went missing March 4th. It's been over 4 months now. And then we had remains found on, I want to say June 24th, somewhere around in that date, which has now been about 3 weeks now. Now, the identification of these remains have not been identified yet, but there's been some new information that can maybe give us a hint at some possibilities, with how close the bodies, the remains were found to where Caleb went missing. I don't think is a coincidence. Still, that doesn't mean that it could be somebody else. But for anybody who's not up to date with that, we'll play this and then we'll get on with the new information.
Water lift station. The collection point is 40 feet deep and had to be drained to recover the remains. Now, to be clear, there's been no confirmation that the remains belong to 21-year-old Caleb Harris, who you see here, who mysteriously disappeared from his apartment in March. We'll, of course, continue to follow this story and bring you any updates as we learn them here on air and online at KENS5.com.
Confirms the discovery of human remains inside a wastewater lift station near Ennis Jocelyn at Lexington and Holly Road.
Yeah, several agencies, along with CCPD and CCFD, have been on scene since 3 o'clock this afternoon. That's also where we find Josh Maxwell. He's live on.
What I can start off our newscast and tell you is that there is no evidence at this time that these human remains are in any way connected to the disappearance of missing TAMUCC student Caleb Harris. However, the location not far from Harris's apartment complex.
Okay, so there's just a little report, and for anybody that doesn't know where the remains were found, just go over that, and then I'll play this new information. But the remains were found in this water lift station. We've done multiple lives explaining how this lift station works. It's a fenced off area, and it is not easy to get access to it because it's fenced off. It's got barbed wire. It's supposed to have 2 locks on it. According to the city worker, when he arrived, he said it was locked. But then, of course, when they opened up the well, at the gate for the well, there was remains in there. And we'll play a little bit about the condition of the remains in a little bit, but I'm sure everybody's kind of wanting to know the new information. So we'll go over that, and then we'll kind of recap some stuff that Jennifer Coffedaffer, either you like her or hate her, she's been covering this case and clearly been speaking with the family, and obviously being former FBI, she does have contacts, and she does have information, I would assume inside information. But anyway, recently, after they found the remains, I think it was July, let me see, I think I have it right here. So they found the remains on, I think, like June 24th or something like that. And then there was the Uvalde nonprofit, which joined the search on July 3rd, which is about a week and a half ago. And so that kind of put the, whether it was Caleb or not, because I'd kind of lean more towards this could be Caleb. Again, we don't know for sure. And then with them sending out, a nonprofit group to go out and search for him, you would think that they would tell him, no, don't be searching if they knew for sure the identity. So I'm assuming they didn't know the identity, and we still don't know if they know, but there has been a change because although they'd started, I think like July 4th or July 3rd is when they announced it, and I know of one search that they conducted, but they could have conducted more, and may not have tweeted it out or whatever. But then, earlier this morning, they put this out, which I think is really interesting. And now you'll notice it says at the top, says 1 in 5 Foundation for Kids. This is the Uvalde Foundation. Apparently, I guess they're like changing the They wanted to change their name, so I think it's instead of the Uvalde Foundation for Kids, it's now the 1 in 5 Foundation for Kids. So hopefully that's not too confusing. But here it is. They posted early this morning. It says, new information prompts nonprofit to end aid searching for missing Texas A&M student. So I think that's pretty interesting. And the fact that it says, it doesn't just say like, hey, we're ending the search for him. They actually say new information prompts nonprofit to end aid searching. So what is this new information? Now this is, don't be confused, this is not the Uvalde, if you're thinking of the Uvalde, this is like the foundation that was built after, because of Uvalde. And then I think they changed their name. I don't know all the minute details when it comes to the foundation, but it is not Uvalde, like the people that were the cowards, law enforcement, that this is something that was founded after them in honor of them. But anyway, they have blogs and tweets and a website. And anyway, they did conduct one search I know of, I think July 10th, which I don't know if I got a screenshot of that. So again, remember, they changed their name, so it's not Uvalde Foundation anymore. They call themselves 1 in 5. But again, they say new information prompts. And if we go there, they actually talk about one of the searches they conducted, which I believe was July 10th here. I had seen it earlier today. Actually, I've got a screenshot of it. Let me pull it up in this other one. So it's kind of interesting. Let's see. I think that's going to be... Maybe I didn't take a screenshot of that other one. But anyway, they did post that they had a search, I think, around like July 10th. But Jen says, yeah, the foundation I heard never follows through and never really searches. Honestly, I don't know. So I can't not confirm or deny that. Honestly, I know there's stuff with the Sebastian Rogers case where there's like a bunch of organizations that got like the same name, the Cajun Navy, United Cajun Navy, quite confusing. So again, I don't know. This could be nothing, but according to them, it says that they're ending the search. So if true, and this is due to new information, then again, this doesn't confirm that this is Caleb Harris. But then I don't think it's a coincidence that you also have News Nation. Again, we cannot say it's Caleb until the authorities, Corpus Christi, comes out and says, hey, this is Caleb Harris. And that's how we conduct ourselves on this channel, but we do speculate. We also had this News Nation report from the other day. It says authorities aren't sure how Harris's body ended up in the well or how long it had been there. Now, this could be just bad reporting, but it was interesting that they mentioned this. This is obviously News Nation, a little bit more prestigious news outlet. Again, it could just be bad reporting, but again, maybe they're going off information that we don't know yet.
No one has seen him. No video.
But here is Jennifer Coffindaffer talking about the remains itself. If you haven't heard it, it's quite interesting because there was photographs and a video that circulated on one of the Facebook pages. Unfortunately, I did come across it because it was just kind of out there. I think they've gotten rid of it since then. I'm not sure. So I have seen, sadly, that video the city worker took, which I believe, I don't know for sure, but I believe he may have been fired because I believe that they were posting for a new job. it could be unrelated. Who knows? But when you see it, it's not very clear. It almost looks like it's a full body, but according to Coffindaffer, the body is really is in terrible shape. It appeared it possibly had been down there for a while, or at least the body had been decomposing for a while. Whether it was down there, for weeks or months, who knows? Anyway, let me, so I can read chat. I'm going to just play Jennifer Coffindaffer talking about the remains itself.
No information. His cell phone dies at that hour and gone. So very recently, there was a body found at a water pump station. Now, I want to be clear at what this is, because looked into this particular water pump station. So essentially, there are manholes that you see on the ground all the time. That is for rainwater. It's not for wastewater. So you see those manholes, that is rainwater. But there are also a septic system that runs below ground. And this particular treatment facility where this body was found was, and I shouldn't say body, remains. And this is critical to note. I hope nobody's thinking about, kind of a decomposing body here. This is not what we're talking about. We are talking about decomposed to the fact that they're not even sure whether it's male or female. I think we're talking possibly about a mandible or a skull. We're talking about something that can only be tested via DNA.
So yeah, that's really interesting for anybody that hasn't heard that before, because for those that are unfortunate that did see the picture or video, it is kind of deceiving, because it does kind of look like a full body that's just kind of face down. I'm not going to go into more detail than that, but so it's really interesting to hear that the remains sadly were in much worse shape. Which could suggest it had been down there for weeks or months, or something else, and then it was dumped down there. We still obviously got much to learn. Still, we have no official identification, so keep in mind for those that are just tuning in, still no official ID, although I keep checking, and I will recap what I just talked about if you're just tuning in here in just a minute, but I'll play her so I can check chat a little bit more.
So this is like a situation with Brian Laundrie. Remember, Brian Laundrie was the same situation. They had remnants of Brian Laundrie, and that was it. And so you might be asking, well, how could that happen in such a short time? Well, first of all, no one is saying this is Caleb Harris. I want to make that crystal clear. No one is saying it's Caleb Harris. And the degree to which this remnants of a human was found in this sewage treatment plant water pump station is small and undiscernible without DNA. So this is very important to note. Now you might ask, well, if it were Caleb, in the amount of time since he's gone missing to the amount of time this remnants was found, could he have decayed that much? Well, there are chemicals and gases and so forth and so on in water treatment facilities, sewage treatment facilities. So I'm not sure to that answer, but we do know that would weigh in on the decomposition of a body. But
let me get to some questions. Shannon Johnson, thank you so much for the $4.99. I really appreciate that. It does help out. For anybody that's newer to the channel, I appreciate you guys taking the time to come in. Not only do we cover true crime, but we do go out and search for the missing. And right now we are in the middle of a search for Aidan Clune. We recently found his shoes, which is the first physical evidence found in 2 years. I won't talk too much because we're going to do him, or we're going to talk about his case on the second half of the show. But yeah, any donations or anything that you guys can send will go towards helping us search for the missing. So I do appreciate that. And Isabel coming in with 5 gifted Mob Crew memberships. Thank you so much, Isabella. If you can, please show her some love in the chat. That is so awesome. Thank you so much. It's weird to me as well because photo it does look like, yeah, for those that sadly had seen the photo or video or both, it does. It really is deceiving. It looks like a full body kind of face down. But I've heard that it was in really rough shape. I mean, speculated even more beyond Jennifer Cobbendaffer that it was even worse shape than some may, than what she's talking about. But then again, that's just purely speculation.
This is massively decomposed. I mean, it's not even decomposed. These are remnants. These are remnants that are being tested. They're being tested at the University of North Texas. How long is it going?
So I'll skip this part. This was 2 weeks. Let's see. Yeah, I think that was 2 weeks ago, her interview. And then she also did another missing. She does like missing Mondays, and she usually talks about Caleb Harris. So she did a show last week where she talked a little bit more about the remains and dropped a little bit more information, which was kind of interesting, that we didn't know. But for those that are coming in, let me just quickly show you guys. And you guys can do your own research, of course, if you want to check it out. But here is the post. Excuse me. Let me go to the top here. So again, this is the 1 in 5 Foundation, formerly known as the Uvalde Foundation. Apparently, they were built after, the whole terrible situation with Uvalde. Again, I don't know much about this foundation. Supposedly, they go out as a nonprofit and go out and help people. It seemed kind of rather new. But anyway, they made a post, and here it says in this post, now before we talk about this post, they had posted something, and this was even in the news too, so I think this, and they have to be semi-legit, but anyway, there was a post on July 3rd or 4th, so it was about a week after they found the remains, a week or two after, that they were going to go out and start searching for Caleb, which kind of threw a wrench in things because a lot of people, including me, speculated it's more likely that it'd be Caleb than anybody else, but still it's not confirmed. But when they started doing that, it kind of changed the tone. But now they say in this, apparently this tweet here, it says new information prompts nonprofit to end aid searching for missing. So we don't know what the new information is. I clicked on this. I couldn't find anything. Maybe there was a post in here. It takes you to their website, which has a blog and stuff. But other than going to the blog post that talks about Caleb, where they're supposedly going out, there's no mention as to what this new information is. Maybe they did and then decided that wasn't a good idea to post the information, so they pulled it. I don't know, but basically here's them just kind of talking about them going out and searching, and that's pretty much it. So again, maybe they did have something and then yanked it. But again, I don't know, because I just, unfortunately, it was a few hours after they had posted it that I saw that. So, but if true, I would think that would lean more towards it, more likely being Caleb. That doesn't guarantee that's him, but I mean, why else would you pull from a search, especially with new information? I can only assume the information would be Caleb Harris's whereabouts, right?
The ability to unlock the doors to penetrate this treatment facility. So I want to first say that the only way a body could get in there, or remnants that we have left now, but at some point a body could even get in there, would be for somebody to put the body in there. Okay, there was a manhole discovered that did lead to this facility. But no one knows if that is how this body would have been taken there. And again, it's not something that you would have jumped inside or accidentally fallen into or anything.
Now that part, the second part, I highly disagree, and I think she changes her tone. So this is 2 weeks ago, and I think she changes that because I highly disagree. It's a manhole. There's a reason why they call it a manhole cover, because a man can go in a sewer. I mean, they're built like that. And so, yes, somebody could fall in, especially if there is a manhole cover that is open. Now, we don't know how long it had been open. This is where Jennifer comes in, which is something I kind of missed the first time I covered this. And this is her interview from her live show from last week. And she talks about that this manhole cover had to have come off sometime in April. So they went missing in March, early March 4th. Then you have this family that comes out, I'm assuming somewhere from Texas, and they're kind of looking for Caleb. And they said while they were, as they were arriving or something, they had noticed when they were looking on Google Earth or Google Maps, and you can see it here if I didn't have this circle right here.
It would have been a
but you'll notice there's like this kind of round. Basically, there's like it looks like 3 manholes, all kind of within close proximity to each other. And when they got there, which was like April 6th or somewhere around in that time, second week of April, first or second week of April, I think they went back twice. They noticed this manhole was open. So we don't know if the manhole is open the whole time or if it was more recently opened, like a month later. But that sewer line does flow to the well station. It is literally, there's only a few sewer lines that run downstream to the well station that the remains were found in. I was going to answer Northern Skies. No, the ring cam was more in the apartment complex. Caleb was last seen on the outside of the complex. So, that specific ring cam that you see him at 1 o'clock, that would have not captured whatever happened to him unless he was taken back to his apartments. But I don't think that happened. So, no, that would have not captured him, unfortunately. It's too bad there wasn't more cameras.
It's to the point that it's unrecognizable. I've also understood even more absolutely horrible news about this body. I'm not going to repeat it because...
Okay, so this is just a small clip from her interview or her live show last week where she shared a little bit more information here about that, which I thought was interesting.
I didn't hear it from law enforcement, and until I hear it from law enforcement, I just can't take it at its word. So stay tuned. When we do missing next week, I'll update you. I didn't hear it from law enforcement, and until I hear it from law enforcement, I just can't take it at its word. So
I think I know what she's talking about, and it's been speculated in the Facebook groups. Let's just say the head was supposedly in a really bad condition, possibly separated from the body. Again, we don't know.
Stay tuned. When we do missing next week, I'll update you.
I'm pretty sure that's what she's talking about.
Was there any clothing found? It's my understanding there was some clothing found. It's in such close proximity, it gives you, pause.
No, because the cameras are inside the apartment complex, so he's on the outside. So no, it did not capture him.
I said it would be him, but remember, that was all searched. It was all searched. That cornfield.
So those cameras were like, let's see, his apartment complex is right here. Those cameras were right here, if you can see them. They're down at the bottom. He would have gone through right here and came out this way. His apartment, I think, is one of these two right here. They had walked the dog this way at 1 a.m. and then returned, and then he did another walk at like 2:30, 2:45, something like that. Sent a Snapchat to his sister and ordered Uber Eats, and then walked towards the bridge.
All of that was searched. So this would have been a situation where after, I think the date was around April 16th or April 19th, right in there, mid-April, let's just say, generally. It would have had to happen after that body would have had to been somehow placed in there. So this wasn't, from what I believe, from looking at the possible manholes, from looking at the way that facility is locked up tight, I don't know. It seems to me it had to have been somehow placed in a position to end up there. Not an accident, from what I can see. And again, there's no evidence that it's Caleb. I'm not saying it's not Caleb, but I'm certainly not saying it isn't Caleb.
And I think she's just trying to be, respectful to the family, and, try not to speculate as far as identifying. But we're getting close to the 4-week mark. I think they said, 4 to 6 weeks to identify the body, which would be through DNA. And they'll probably, and this is speculation, but I think a lot of people would agree, is they'll probably not only announce the ID, but probably the autopsy as well at the same time, announce both of them. Again, that's just speculation, but I would assume, if it's going to take a few more weeks to complete the autopsy, they may just wait for the public. They'll probably notify the family the second they know with the ID or with identification, but probably when they announce everything, it'll be together. I'm assuming.
I posted on my Twitter 4 other young men missing in and around Corpus Christi. Could be one of them. Could be one of them. That each of you on your
Tonight, we have learned that the wastewater lift station where human remains were discovered earlier this week was locked when a city worker made that discovery. Now, that means someone would have needed a key to get to where the wet well is located. It was just after 3:30 Monday afternoon when the discovery was made at the Perry Place wastewater lift station. It is one of 105 lift stations in the city. Investigators with CCPD say the remains have been sent to the University of North Texas Center for Human Identification for DNA analysis.
So that is pretty much it. I'm trying to think of anything else. Again, here's the video. I'm not going to play everything I played before, but again, we had this family come out. They were, trying to help search for Caleb, and this was a month after he went missing, and they just had noticed that there was this manhole that was uncovered, and it appears to be 3 manholes kind of all close together. You can see the dog standing on one of them, but one of them was uncovered. Now, I don't know if they mention it in the video, like if the lid is sitting nearby. I didn't see it in the video. I tried to look for it to see if there was just kind of like a third lid sitting by. I didn't see it myself. There is also an orange cone sitting by it, so I would think whoever took that off put that cone there. I don't know why maybe the cone's there to just so they know that's where the manholes are at, just in case of the equipment they're using. I believe this is a cornfield, so maybe they have those there just so they don't run that over or whatever. Again, I don't know, but clearly I would think possibly the cone and the open manhole could be related, and maybe they leave that open for some reason. It sounds dangerous to me, especially if you're wandering around on a foggy night. Again, I still lean more towards foul play, but I still think out of between the two places, I think the body was placed down in the sewer, and then it just traveled through the sewer line. It is 15 inches in diameter. we've seen bodies. There was a human, somebody recovered, and I didn't know this at the time, but I played this video before in previous lives where there's a guy that's actually being saved. I didn't know what size that the pipe was, but that was actually a 12 centimeter pipeline, sewer line that this young adult was. I don't know how he ended up in there, but so even a 12-inch diameter pipe, people can get in there. It's amazing what the body can fit in. So again, I still lean towards foul play, but I think out of the two places, with the one being that it's locked down,
I don't know what the hell they did, bro, but they did something.
There's been reports that they say that there's cameras, but I don't know. Jennifer's never reported on that. I would think she would probably say something, but again, I don't know. But pretty wild. So real quick, before we move on, I'm just looking at chat. Lars says, I remember when the remains were found, they had a news conference. A reporter asked if they had found a full body, and the sheriff said, almost. Oh, so, I mean, that kind of makes sense. I mean, if you missed earlier, Coffin Deffer, who's obviously got, connections in law enforcement, she says that, the remains were in very bad shape, meaning there could be body parts, or, I don't want to get too graphic for the sake of the family, but it sounds like they were in pretty bad condition. So, and I know people always ask about the dog. The dog was fine. He returned the dog. He went for a second walk after the video we see with his roommate and a friend. And then after that, he ordered Uber Eats, and then something happened within like a 12 to 15 minute time frame. So whatever happened pretty quick. And remember, it's super foggy out there, so I could see both happening, an accident and or foul play, because, with fog, I could see how an accident could happen if that manhole was open and for some reason he's kind of wandering around. Maybe he's waiting for his Uber Eats, falls in it. And then there's this thing that the officer or the detective said early on in the investigation.
And once we do that, it takes time, days to weeks, for that information to come back.
CCPD is working with the U.S. Marshals, the FBI, Texas Rangers, meeting virtually several times a week.
We just wrote 15 additional.
Possibility.
The more evidence.
Right here.
It's harder for the police to get a direction as what to do.
Are we still investigating this as a missing persons case?
Well, it is a missing persons case, but we certainly believe there's the possibility of some foul play involved.
How great of a possibility?
The more evidence that we gathered tends to show that he left, probably voluntarily, but didn't return.
Now, there are rumors of witnesses spotting Harris, and we also asked the assistant chief about that, but he says the department believes no credible witness has reported having seen Caleb.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll just, before we move on to the next case, if you're coming in, just missed it, I'll cover this one last time. Let me refresh, see if there's anything else. Maybe they posted. No, it doesn't look like it. But again, if you missed it earlier, the Uvalde Foundation, again, I don't know much about this organization. It's supposed to be a nonprofit. This was supposed to be founded after the whole terrible Uvalde situation that happened. And then it looks like they wanted to change their name. So now it's called the 1 in 5 Foundation, although the website still has the Uvalde Foundation. Now, July 3rd, not only them, but news reports, as a matter of fact, if I even type it in, we can look it up here. Yeah, so even News Nation reported it here. Caleb Harris search joined by Uvalde Foundation volunteers. This was this posted? July 9th. I've seen one as early as July 3rd. And then we have their Twitter page, and they claim here at the top, so this is posted today, and it was earlier this morning. It says, new info prompts nonprofit to end aid searching for missing Caleb Harris. So if true, this means that they got information that prompted them to stop searching. So the only thing that I could think of would be that they found Caleb Harris. I mean, what else would end a search unless they were told? But I don't know if you would put new information. I mean, new information would lead me. I would lean towards they learned, possibly identity of the remains. Again, everybody that missed it earlier, they have not identified the remains officially, so this is still speculation. But if true, I would think that's a little bit more information that points towards it being Caleb. But again, we'll still have to wait. But maybe we're real close for them, because they said 4 to 6 weeks. I believe we're approaching. See, he was found on a Monday, so we at 3 weeks no, I want to say we're at 4 weeks, right? 3 weeks. So we're at approximately 3 weeks. So perhaps within a week or less, maybe we'll get the official report. But again, I think they'll probably do the autopsy and release both. Yeah, and that's what we just talked about. Again, we're still at the speculation stage, but there's just more little hints that it's more likely him than somebody else. But again, we can only speculate. I mean, somebody reported on a statistic, a yearly statistic. I think it's 5,000 approximately people fall into manholes, accidentally, either fatal or just have an accident. So I think there's upwards to above 5,000 approximately reported yearly throughout the U.S. So it does happen. People fall in them, and they're big enough. I don't think they would call them manhole covers for. Yeah, just like the Reddit, where it's confirmed. Just about every source next to the family and law enforcement has confirmed the Reddit account, other than, yeah. So it does kind of feel like that situation. I agree. But yeah. Anyway, so now we'll move on to Aidan Clune. Again, I just want to put it out there if you're just tuning in. Any donations or anything would be super helpful. We not only cover true crime, but we go out and search. And right now we've been searching for Aidan Clune. We just got back from a 2-day search. We were out there Thursday and Friday. And we probably had the most intense night I've ever had. As far as, I wouldn't call it camping because it didn't feel like camping because we're searching, but obviously we did camp outside that night, and we had the most disturbing thing happen to us that night while camping, for Aidan Clune. So first I'll just play a quick recap of Aidan Clune, and then I'll play a clip of what we experienced while camping. And let me tell you guys, it's crazy. If you guys haven't heard this, it's crazy.
This Motel 6 in the town of Wells. On April 27, 2022, Aidan Clune woke up early and checked out. With the highway close by, he took his truck south on Highway 93, traveling approximately 52 miles into a town called Curry. Aiden abruptly pulled his truck over, unknown as to why he did so, perhaps to take a bathroom break or to clear his mind. Taking his acoustic guitar with him, Aiden likely had not wandered far from the road, leaving his passenger door wide open, meaning he had likely had every intention of returning back to his truck. At approximately 9 a.m., a highway patrol officer saw the red Nissan truck and pulled behind it. It looked abandoned. It's unclear where Aiden was at the time, but it's quite possible that Aidan Clune could have been close by. But because of his recent mental health issues and recent signs of paranoia, Aiden may have saw the trooper with their lights on and may have thought he was in trouble and perceived the trooper as a threat, and the only way to safety was to travel into the vast Nevada desert. Aiden would never return back to his truck that day, nor did he make any contact with anyone. Until the following day, Aidan Clune was declared missing. Search and rescue would be disbanded the following days into the vast desert valley of Curry, Nevada. They would soon find Aiden's tracks leading from where the truck was parked, leading away into the vast desert. Not far from his truck, search and rescue found his acoustic guitar laying in the desert sand. Along with the guitar, more footprints were discovered. They led over what is known as the Palomino Ridge. Aiden was wearing Nike Air Force shoes that had a unique peanut shape and circular shapes on the tread. This was helpful to track, as these were not the average type of footwear one would normally wear in an environment like this. They would track Aiden over the Palomino Ridge into a wide valley. Beyond this valley was the Cherry Creek mountain range, full of brush, heavily wooded areas, unforgiving ridges and peaks. As they continued following his tracks, they noticed some were odd and different to others. They realized that he would take off his shoes and either go barefoot or leave his socks on and walk for a bit, as his tracks changed due to this factor. Furthermore, his tracks would come to a T shape, meaning he would walk a while, then stop, go left for a bit, then double back on his tracks, which meant it's likely Aiden was trying to throw off anyone who would track him. Even though search and rescue were days behind Aiden, it shows the mental state and possible paranoia Aiden could have been experiencing as he traveled deeper into the unknown and unforgiving mountain range. Search and rescue would eventually track Aiden into this valley south of what is called the burn area. They would lose his tracks after a while, or the weather would get too bad to track, and so they would get more and more behind as days passed on. But eventually they would pick up Aiden's tracks again and followed them into this particular valley that had a creek with fresh water that flows down the mountain into the valley for the livestock. Search and rescue found many tracks wandering all around this valley, some where Aiden was wearing shoes and others where he was barefoot. They would eventually find some tracks leading from the valley west up a steep ridge. From here, they found the last tracks, almost like he was circling a tree, just as signs of Aiden's tracks were plentiful and his presence known. It's as if the vast mountain range of Cherry Creek swallowed them up without cause. Aiden now became a ghost, uprooted from the earth, and now the only signs he was ever there was a few photos taken by search and rescue of his tracks.
So yeah, we for those that don't know or are new to the channel, we've been searching for Aiden for 2 years now. Not just me, many others, but we've been at it the last three months now, 3 or 4 months. Can't even keep track. And we were finally, with much resilience and determination, we were finally able to find the first physical evidence in the 2 years that he went missing. We found his pair of shoes not far from his tracks. This was a huge find because, again, it's the first sign of Aiden since he went missing. And that also means that it's most likely, it's kind of a double-edged sword, bittersweet, I should say, find, because it most likely means he is in there, because there was reported sightings since he's been missing. There's been multiple reported sightings, but if you look at a picture of him, especially from the side, he looks like a lot of teenagers at that age, 19. He even looks, from the side, he even looked like my best friend growing up. If I had a picture side by side, they look almost identical, but they were never confirmed. But now finding the shoes, I think that kind of more, I wouldn't say solidifies, but puts it most likely he is in this valley. And there's multiple things that led us to this, and we've had plenty of videos if you want to check that out, but we're not going to recap all of that. But anyway, so we went out Thursday and Friday, which was, I believe, like the 11th and 12th, I believe. And to save gas and time, because we knew it was going to be hot, we actually picked the 2 hottest days of the year. We knew it was going to be hot, but we didn't know it was going to be the 2 hottest days of the year. But we do take safety precautions, take plenty of breaks and stuff. But again, we wanted to camp because that way we could get up early before it got way too hot. The sun was out. But learned a ton after this trip. So much. And we covered a lot of ground. And so anyway, here's what we experienced while camping. So there's the 3 of us, Ty, Bree, and me. We have a Ford truck. What you're looking at is me holding the camera, pointing. Ty was going to be sleeping next to the campfire, which I'm probably glad because things changed because he ended up sleeping in the cab because we started hearing some really strange noises. And you'll hear some of them, but we heard something that unfortunately I wasn't able to capture. I'm not sure. I still have to kind of go back and see if I can maybe enhance the audio. I haven't had a chance to or time to try that, but we had heard something what sounded like, and it's really tough to describe, only as something being attacked. That's the only thing I can describe. I can't really recreate it, but it was kind of like a cry, very distant, but very disturbing nonetheless. And so here we go. Welcome. And if you're wondering if I got any sleep that night, I probably got like 1 hour of sleep that night because not only did we have that incident going on, but by the time everything calmed down, it got cold as shnikes. I was blown away. And we're talking the hottest day of the year, but we're at an altitude. We're at, 7,000 feet above sea level. So, even though we're in the desert, we're in the mountains. So when you're at a higher altitude, it can get really hot. It's typical desert scenario. It's going to get hot during the day and the temperatures will drop like crazy. And they did. It was supposed to be like upper 50s from what it said, but it got like 40s. I was blown away. I was in a thermal sleeping bag, and I even had a tough time. I woke up and I was like frozen. I'm like, holy shit.
Back to the channel, everybody, where we cover true crime, mystery to the missing. As many of you know, we have been searching for Aidan Clune, a 19-year-old who wandered off in the Cherry Creek mountain range in Nevada back in searching. While I was laying in the sleeping bag on the bed of the truck, we began to hear some very disturbing high-pitched cries, but could not tell which direction it was coming from.
So, like I said, we set up camp. Bree was sleeping in the cab already. I was situated in the bed of the truck, so I was outside. Ty was going to be sleeping on the ground next to the campfire. We did have a herd of cattle that were not too far off because there's a stream nearby. It's kind of the only water source, so it makes sense that they would be kind of near that area. But once it got pitch black, which also this will also relate to the search, because I have been out there, searching in camp before when we went out there the first year he went missing, but we weren't in this particular valley. So this really added a whole new perspective on things because it gets pitch black, especially if it's overcast, because obviously the moon, it's dark. But second it got pitch black, I started hearing a noise. Now, it wasn't the noise that you just heard a second ago. That's something else I'll explain. Like I said, we heard something that sounded like it was being attacked, but we just couldn't really tell what it was. But it sounded disturbing. Heard it for about like 20 seconds. I can explain it in the video. And of course, at the time it happened, I didn't have my phone because I was trying to go to bed at that point, because we were kind of turning in for the night. That happened. That woke us up, or I wouldn't say woke us up, but it's before we went to bed. And so then I'm trying to search for my phone in the pitch black. I finally grab it. It starts doing it again. And so I'm fumbling, of course, Of course, go figure. I'm fumbling for the phone. Like, I had it in my hand, and it starts doing it again. And, of course, I think I take a photo instead hitting record. But anyway, I finally hit record. And so here's that video. Here in just a second.
Across here?
Put my phone away as I was trying to go to sleep. But because the sounds were so disturbing, I started searching for my phone to try to capture the sound. Just as I found my phone, the disturbing cries started again, and just as I hit record, the cries would slowly fade away, and I don't believe my phone was able to capture them.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah,
Did you hear that?
But that would not be the only thing that happened that night. From there, things would only ramp up. About 45 minutes later, we began to hear something else, much closer. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a farmer, so I didn't know what the hell that was in the beginning. Now, of course, we put two and two together. At first, we didn't know what was going on, but then realized the new disturbing sounds were coming from a cow close by, crying for her calf, most likely. These cries were not only disturbing to hear, but knowing that we had just heard something almost an hour prior, likely meant that this could have been connected, and we believed that perhaps something took that calf, and that is what we had heard earlier. And now the mama cow was crying out for her calf.
Close.
And it was pissed. And of course, so it's a bull. Okay, keep in mind, I'm not a cattle guy. But they're all moo-moos to me. But yeah, bull, whatever. Yeah, that was trippy. And again, like I said, that's not the only sound. That was the aftermath. We're pretty sure the calf, although we don't know because we never found anything. We didn't really search because we had to go searching for Aiden. But like I said, we heard something way before this that we believe is connected, and maybe the calf was taken down. So anybody that doesn't know, there are mountain lions out there, and they have attacked the cattle before. As a matter of fact, because they know that we come out armed, they said, if we do see it, we have permission to kill it, even though I couldn't do it myself. But anyway, we believe, we don't know for sure, but we believe that possibly a calf was attacked that night, possibly by a mountain lion, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, who knows. But it was attacked, and then the bull, whatever, cow, mama, was not happy. And then, of course, we're the only ones that are nearby. And so that cow, bull, whatever, started getting closer, because I'm assuming he's like, hey, what's going on? Do you got my calf? And so Ty, is like, well, I can't sleep on the ground because, he's come trample over me. So he ended up sleeping in the bed, or sleeping in the cab as well. So it was me the only person, even though I was in the bed of the truck and put up the tailgate, I was the only one outside physically, semi-exposed, I guess, even though I was in the bed of the truck. But it was a little scary. I thought I'd wake up and I'd have like a giant cat laying next to me. Come on now. But oh, it's a wooded area, Ren. Wood. Yeah, this is a wooded area. There's supposed to be coyotes. Apparently, I've never seen a coyote.
Lions in this area.
But anybody who doesn't know what a mountain lion, aka a cougar. So here's some pictures of them earlier, and this is the creek. But anyway, we'll talk about Aiden as well. But these are mountain lions. They're big, giant kitties, kind of mixture between a kind of a lion and I don't want to say bobcat, because that's not a bobcat, but kind of more of the size of a bobcat, but kind of a mixture between the two. Very scary. They have known to attack men, but it's not common. But usually if you make noise when you're searching, they tend to do their own thing. But again, that's the first time we camped out in that valley, and we knew, because that's where the cattle was, it was probably a good place where there was going to be a mountain lion close to the water source, really, and possibly the cattle. So, yeah, it was definitely a night I will never forget. Let's see, GR says, a bull wandering around and a rabbit getting attacked can sound like a baby crying. Yeah, I don't know. It could have been a rabbit. I don't know. I don't know what it was. The first thing, anyway, whether it was a calf. I don't, those, we really think those were connected, because, that cow or whatever, that bull wasn't doing that earlier that day, because we were there, the entire day that day, or mostly that day, and we were nearby them, because this creek is not far from where Aiden went missing, where his last tracks were found. And yeah, that bull wasn't crying like that, and it started crying right after, like no more than 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes after we heard this just atrocious, disturbing cry, kind of going off and on for a little bit in the distance, and then it was over, and then we was just like, we don't know what the hell that was. And then all of a sudden this bull's doing that. We kind of figured maybe it was connected. So anyway, moving on to the last part. So what we discovered with our last trip. So we covered a lot more, although we had to really take it easy because it was the hottest days of the year. Courtney says we have mountain lions in MS, which is so weird to me. Yeah, I've never seen one, to be honest with you, in person, not that I know of anyway. And I hope I don't. But yeah, it is scary to think that they are out there for sure. So anyway, we went back out there. And for those that may not know, we have done a ton of grid searching. So here's kind of a small example of what we have kind of knocked out. So we used the shoes that were found as kind of the place that we're going to grid search around. That is our kind of ground zero, because from there we know that he was likely out there at 8:17, which in April means it is most likely getting dark, if not dark at that time, which camping out there in that valley really put a new perspective on how freaking pitch black it would have been. And we know that it was at the very least cloudy that night, so we wouldn't even have the moon, because apparently I believe it rained and probably even turned into possibly snow at that elevation and that time of year, sadly. And the temperatures would just drop. Like I said, we were out there on the hottest day of the year, and it still got into the 40s. Like I said, I woke up partly frozen. I couldn't believe it. And then when the sun came up, it was like, woof. It was 100 again. So these red areas is what we really wanted to focus on, but we knew that we had holes. So these green areas are kind of what we have grid searched, but there's more areas. There's just a few that I just didn't have time to put in, but most of these have been searched. But we knew that there were pockets in this area closer to the shoes that hadn't been fully searched. So what we ended up doing is we kind of cut it in half, where we ended up searching part of where I was really thinking, he could be at. But after experiencing it at, how dark it is, just kind of getting a fresh reminder of how just sadly dark and you just it gets, and how fast you just can't see 2 feet in front of you unless you have some kind of light source. That likely at that time, if you don't know where you're going, you don't know the terrain, you are going to get injured, because what you've got from his shoes is you've got a bunch of gullies or washes that kind of run north by northwest from his shoes. We've cleared everything on the south. We've cleared everything down. We have now, but there was a few areas, pockets that we were concerned with, and I'm just trying to get to my areas. And for those that don't know, what we've been doing for the last 3 months is not only have we been grid searching, but we've been tying these ropes, or these, surveyor's tape to the trees, which is very biodegradable, but they're very bright. And we tie them to just about every other tree, and we have a heading. And what we do is we'll go for quarter mile, half a mile, 3 wide, so about 20 feet wide, 20 to 30 feet wide, something like that. And the 2 people on the ends are tying these off to about every other tree. That way we know where our grid is at, like right down to the tree. And we've been doing that. So if anybody were to go into that valley, you would just see red, yellow, orange ribbons everywhere in there. Thousands of trees have now been tied off. But again, they are biodegradable. They'll probably be gone in less than a year. This is the area, for anybody that's not familiar with the overhead. This is the creek. Find that thing that I built for you guys. Okay, here it is. That's what I was trying to find. So, one thing we were worried about is from his last shoe prints. Let me go back just a little bit. So shoes were found here. Now we knew that there was some pockets that we missed. We knew there was we covered 80% in this close area. And I'll get to chat. I'm sorry, I'm rambling on, trying to get everything in. But we knew that there were some gullies right after his shoes. And we knew that there was a few gaps that we had missed, a few holes in the grid search that definitely needed to be searched. And especially after experiencing it at dark, we kind of wondered, if he had wandered into one of these gullies, would he have fallen down and then his body's just somewhere downhill in these gullies? So just showing you how dark it is. Obviously, this isn't even full dark. That's full dark. So that's what you're going to be seeing, until your eyes adjust, which, it's going to take a minute. But so, for you walking barefoot, at the very least, socks, and not knowing, this terrain, you're most likely going to get hurt or lost. Now, he may have had, if he was up, because he is up higher on the ridge, he may have had a reference point, and that would be the highway. So we believe he did go back northwest, because we've cleared everything else by the shoes. Now, if you go north by northwest, which is going this way to the right, there's 2 more gullies. There's this one here, which is pretty close to where the shoes were found, and it is very steep. And if it was dark like that, you could easily fall in. So, and we knew that we had missed a few areas in here, so we ended up clearing that out because, it would be so easy for him to just trip and fall. Because looking at Google Earth doesn't really do it justice. You encounter these very, very steep hills that go down into these, gullies / washes, and they're dangerous. So we cleared those out, and then there was a secondary one that's further over. We also cleared that one out, which was actually something that we hadn't cleared. So we were kind of thinking we may find him in here because this was kind of a new area we hadn't searched before. But unfortunately, nothing. So it really got me wondering, and I'll get to chat here in a second, how is this kid making it so far? Because like I said, there still could be an area we missed, for sure. But I would say we've covered what you're looking at easily 60 to 70%. That's the least that you can see. Now, if he was like covered or buried, then yeah, it would. Then we're in trouble. But although we could bring cadaver dogs out, but right now it's just too hot for that scenario. So the only other thing I could think of, and this didn't hit me until we were coming back and I was looking at it, is because if you're barefoot, again, for those that don't know, this terrain is rough. You've got rocks, sagebrush, sticker brush, pine cones, more rocks. This is very unforgiving terrain that you are walking on and would tear up your feet, socks or no socks. It would tear up your feet pretty quickly. So you would think the more he goes, the more he's going to slow down because he's already been in there for 12 hours. It's dark now. He couldn't have gone very far, unfortunately, especially without shoes. And so the only other thing I could think that would allow him to get a little bit past the 0.5 mile radius from his shoes would be what is, and you can see it on Google Maps, is you'll see these little lines here. It's kind of amazing that comes from satellites in the Earth, but you can see it from all the way from the atmosphere. But these lines here they're not really man-made trails. They are animal trails, little highways, that, go for a bit and then they kind of stop and then there's another one and then sometimes they zigzag up. So animal trails, you kind of find them all over. Most of them are not very, how should I say, like, very flat, but they're still there. I mean, there's some areas where you could tell that they travel a lot, but then they kind of die down for a bit. But my only thing that I can think of from now doing this, going out there, especially camping, would be that he would have had to have taken one of these animal trails, which there just happens to be one that kind of goes off and on, and it runs along this upper ridge that goes by northwest. The one that I'm kind of pointing out. Now, of course, like I said, it's kind of like a highway where they kind of cut off, go different directions, but they're about the only thing I could think of that he could take and go far enough, barefoot or even socks, that he could get further without injury. Because if he goes down in these areas, these deeper woods down here, especially in the dark, I just don't see how he would not have fallen and gotten hurt. So I think he had most likely taken an animal trail at this upper higher ridge, and maybe he had since he was still kind of higher up, you would be able to kind of see the freeway, even though it's miles away. It may look closer, if there was lights, you would see those. That'd be the only thing that you would see. But that's the only thing I could think of that he would allow him to travel a little bit further than this 0.5 mile radius. Do I think he made it out? I really hope he did, but I just don't. It gets too cold too fast. And again, we were out there in the hottest day of the year, and I was in a thermal blanket, and I got cold. So I just don't think, but I think it would at least allow him to get further if he took that, because I just cannot see. I mean, we were thinking about testing it by walking barefoot, but we knew that would be a good idea because somebody's going to tear up their feet and then they're not going to be able to search. So we're like, well, that's not a good idea. Northern Skies, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm rambling on. I'll get to chat now. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat, super sticker. I appreciate it. It really helps. Videos though on what to do and how to take precautions. Yeah, we take every precaution we can. Greg is Dance at Granny videos. I retired that. But if you're a member, you can still check out those videos. Aiden must have been so exposed. Yeah, in many ways. Yeah, sadly. You would hear of the calf and other cows if there was an attack. Yeah, again, we don't know exactly what happened. We just theorized maybe a calf wandered off and the mountain lion took it. But again, we don't, like I said, that bull or whatever was not crying the day, because we were out there the entire day. We weren't far from the cows the entire day we were searching. No crying, nothing. And then all of a sudden we hear these noises that sounds like something getting attacked. And then you have that bull that's pissed off. Again, it could be connected. It may not be. Ren says, why do you think he took his guitar? Just to play, but planning on coming back? I think so, too. Yes, I think that's what it was. Because they did find his guitar. But, yeah. I think he was trying to clear his head. Again, if you're newer to this case, his mental health wasn't in the right place, sadly. So, there's so many things that, it's tough because you can't really enter the mind of someone that's going through something like that. Really, it's really tough. I'd search the washes in the area, Dandy. That is exactly what we did this past. We cleared them all out. Now, I can't say 100%. We could always have missed something, but we cleared them. We cleared them more than once. More than once. I think some of them have been searched 2 or 3 times. And nothing. Don't forget, Chris. Oh, yeah. I do have a GoFundMe. If you guys would like to share that, it does help me kind of financially, because when we go out there, not only am I spending money, but I'm not making money because I'm not working. And so it's, it's kind of a, double-edged sword there, unfortunately. But yeah, if you would like to donate, it would really help us. I mean, if there's anyone that's going to bring him home, if he's out there, it's going to be us. We've been out there so many times. We know what we've covered. We know what we haven't. Speaking with the members of Patreons, I probably have the most important drone footage I've uploaded to this date. It will be the areas that have not been officially searched. And so, yeah, those will be probably uploaded tonight or tomorrow. I'm just gonna, so I can get to chat, I'm just gonna play some of this. People can see. I'm dyslexic. Assuming that's what you said. Yeah, I grew up dyslexic as well. It was really cold. I just looked. Yeah, I couldn't believe how close it got. Siggy says Uvalde failed Sebastian's case. I think a lot have, but I don't know. I never really started following. I covered it a little bit, Siggy. I think that's Siggy. And it just it got so toxic, and I hate that. I hate when a missing boy, it becomes far from Sebastian Rogers. It becomes about everything else than Sebastian Rogers, and I hate that. That happened with Summer Wells, and I stopped covering Summer Wells because I hate it. I hate when missing people, their stories get so toxic like that, and it's not even about the missing anymore, and it's so terrible. I hate it. So yeah, I didn't really cover that case that well because it just got too bad. I hate that. Will you go back over the area with the drone where snow was by the shallow cave after the snow melts? Seems the missing can go so much further than expected. Yeah, we have actually hiked up back up there. And yeah, it's not even really a cave, to be honest, GR. It's just a hole. It's like 5 foot, maybe 5 foot deep, maybe 3 foot tall, 3 to 4 foot tall. He's not in there. So I can tell you he's not in there. Like I said, when we saw that, we thought, oh yeah, that's what I would try to do, cave cover. But there's not as many caves really as you would think. I mean, maybe there is in other places, but around this area, not that we have found, just other than the ones that are on the peak. But I'm telling you, if that kid had already spent a whole day hiking into that valley, he's not going up that peak. I promise you. We've done it twice, and we were fresh legs and parked right at the ridge and nearly killed ourselves going up that, especially the second time because it was much hotter. There's just no way. But we did it twice, and I droned up there. I didn't see anything up there, and I've droned up there twice, so I don't think he went over there. We're closing the gap huge. Really, it's come down to a few minute areas. And I only say minute because we've covered so much ground that if it just wasn't so hot right now, I would go back tomorrow. But unfortunately, I did a little too much during this last trip, and I ended up getting dehydrated. Even though we were taking breaks constantly and drinking water, we always take every precaution. We're armed, bear spray. We got tons of supplies, water, whatever, with us. We got 3 backpacks, 3 persons, so everybody's got tons of supplies. And we were taking breaks constantly, more than we usually do. And yeah, I was able to, luckily I drove home okay. And then when I got home, I actually ended up with a fever that nearly put me in the hospital. But I'm fine. It was just dehydration. But I would say cut about half of this off. This is the area right here. To me, this is where he's at, in my opinion. Somewhere in this area right here. And this is most of what I flew. I flew about 80% of where I think he is. The only other place would maybe be back here, but they should have picked up his tracks somewhere along here. It would have been hell going over this because it's super thorn brush along this area because of the spring water and stuff. I guess that thorn brush grows a lot in areas where there's more moisture water. It's very thick. I mean, it would just tear you up. So I don't think he went back that way. I think they would have picked him up as well, his tracks again. So my most likely scenarios, I think he took an animal trail, which would have been the easiest on his feet, and had gotten so far, and then maybe tried to take cover somehow in a tree, or whatever, who knows. But I just, without shoes, we don't even know if he had socks at that point. He could have lost those. He may not even had socks. We don't know because he was either barefoot or had shoe prints. So he may not even had socks. We don't even know. And the socks weren't in the shoes. But yeah, it would slow you down for sure. Yeah, I don't think it was a sunstroke. I don't have any like rashes or sun. It could maybe have been mild sunstroke. I don't know. Like I said, we take precautions, but I guess it just wasn't enough. But I'm gonna take a break for the rest of probably July, because obviously you don't want somebody else getting injured, and then that's not gonna help the family any, and that's not gonna help Aiden. But we're just gonna keep cracking at it. But yeah. Yeah, better safe than sorry. Yeah. Have y'all heard Kayla's? Yeah, I've heard about that. I try not to talk about that. I don't know how much relevance that has. I mean, but yeah, I did hear that. In regards to Caleb Harris. Yeah. Anyway, let me just check Twitter before we go, just by chance, see if there's any updates on Caleb. Foundation halts search efforts. Okay, so they still have their same post. I was seeing if maybe they changed it or anything. So they still have it. Wonder if they had any. Okay. Just in case, maybe they had mentioned something. So back to Caleb. No idea yet. But I think it's interesting if this is true, that new information. Like I said, that would make me lean towards the new information would be that they ID'd the remains unofficially. But again, that's just speculation. Brenda, was there anything on the remains found on Old Nashville Dirt Road? No, I don't know. I'm assuming that's a different case on the remains found on Old Nashville Road. I don't know, Brenda. I'm going to might do a story on Lady Bird Lake. I don't know if that's related to that. I'll keep that in mind, though. Yeah, Brenda. Yeah, if we've got the full story. We've been covering it and searching for him. So there's videos. I have a full video, a playlist if you want to learn more. So, but I think I'm gonna let you guys go. I've been jabbering for an hour and a half now. I do appreciate everybody coming in. Thank you to all the wonderful mods. Karen D. I saw Jennifer in here earlier. And to those that could donate, I appreciate it. Like I said, it really helps us because at a time like this, it costs so much to do this. And, right now they can't bring out cadaver dogs. It's way too hot. And that would be, other than us, the best chance would be a cadaver dog. But again, for the members of Patreons, like I said, the most important drone footage is going to be what I'm going to be uploading very soon, either tonight or tomorrow, as soon as I can get it all put together. It will be of those areas I just talked about, which are just about the only two places, or main area that I believe he's in. Yeah, I'm going to do Lady Bird Lake, yeah, for sure. I just didn't have enough time today because I just got back from the trip. Of course, I kind of had to recover from being hydrated, so fortunately, yeah, there's been more body. Another body found a few days ago, something like that. So thank you, Olivia. Appreciate all you guys. You guys are amazing. Sorry, I'm just seeing if there's anything else, but all right, guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. I won't be on tomorrow because my internet won't be on because they're doing updates on it, which is a bummer because I wanted to kind of pick up some extra lives this week. So We'll be back on Wednesday at same time, mods, unless there's like some ground bake, updates or, breaking information. And then one more time, tornado activity in Des Moines, Illinois. Is that what it is? Yeah. And they're saying major storms in the Midwest. So anybody in the Midwest, just check your local weather report. Make sure you guys are safe. So I love you guys. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you Wednesday.